you doing, girl? How are you, dearly? Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Roots Refuge Farm. I'm out here in our little pig area where Mama Pig, who's hollering at me right now because she wants more food, just checking on the piglets, seeing how they're doing. They're all kind of nestled up inside our little shelter right there. Everyone seems to be doing fine, growing fine. We'll keep a fairly close eye on them for the first week or so. But honestly, my experience with hogs on the farm is that they are the most resilient animal I think we have. But with pigs, they kind of just manage themselves. Like I said, they're a fairly hardy animal. Jessica would probably say the cows are her favorite animal. My favorite animal is definitely the hogs. One factor is for what they produce for our farm, but also just as an animal in general. I really like this little old spot we got from Justin because she was so handled by the family. She's still very personable, which I know you got to be kind of aware of that, especially as they get bigger. I'm not really getting in there with her, but as you come up to the fence, and as you saw whenever we first came up here, she'll let you just rub on her and talk to her. I just think it's cool. You know, we had our old Mangalitsa boar was kind of like that, but I never really trusted him because he was so big and his tusks were so large. He kind of scared me, and I don't really scare that easily. Anyways, the piglets are fine. I've got to go handle a couple other things on the farm. I'm going to double check the cows. I know Hallie was in heat. Make sure they've got water. And then actually I need to try and fix something, but I'm going to have to figure out how to solve that problem. Our utility trailer for our four-wheeler that we use to kind of distribute feed, we've had an issue with it. It's kind of down right now, and I'd like to get it fixed today so I can get it back in operation before tomorrow. So let's go check on the cows. Hey Helen. Hey Kira. Come here. Hey Helen. Oh, she's mad at me. She's been getting these really big horseflies. I'm talking massive ones. Their bite is so intense that it'll actually cause like dripping blood out of the bite mark. So I've been swatting them off of her and killing them, and she thinks that I'm mad at her. So now whenever she comes up to the fence, she's not as personable as she used to be, but she'll warm up to me again. I'm doing it for your own good, girl. So in this pasture right here, I've got Helen because she has to be with Hallie. Hallie can't go out in the main pasture because she's not old enough to be bred, even though she has pretty intense heat cycles. She wants to be bred, we're not gonna let her. So they've got to stay together. And then we've got Fern and Freya. They're still in this paddock together with these two because when we got them, they were confirmed bred, but we wanted to just make double sure that they didn't go into a heat cycle. It's possible, it didn't happen, it doesn't look like, but it's possible that they could have lost the pregnancy in transit. Sometimes that is something that can happen to pregnant cows when they're transported. They have not gone back into heat as far as we can tell. We've kept them close and kept an eye on them, but we wanted to make double sure. I was talking with Jessica the other day, and I'm pretty sure we're going to actually start putting them out on the main pasture to kind of relieve some of the... look, you can see there's one of those big horseflies flying around right now. Well, actually, you probably can't see it because it's so small on the camera, but I can see it. It's flying around Freya's back right now. The two New Jerseys like to be rubbed about as good as Helen did when she first got here, so... You know, and I've had to swat a few flies off of them, but they don't seem to it doesn't seem to bother them very much. But anyways, they should be going out on the main pasture during the day. We'll still be bringing them in probably in the evenings to let them have a little bit of grain, and just to keep an eye on them as their pregnancies progress. I'm pretty sure Freya's due in December, and then Fern is going to be due in March, I do believe. Here's one. Sorry, tried to get that fly. Big old horsefly. Actually, see it? It's huge. I'm gonna try and get it. Okay, I was successful. Another big horsefly down. Alright, so I got one empty trough I've got to fill up. Those two down there are about half full. So I'm gonna go get the hose and get these filled. I got the trough filling up. Let's hop on the side-by-side and let's run over and take a look at our utility trailer that had some tire problems, and let's see if we can get it functional again. Okay, you can see the trailer turned up on its side right there. If you hadn't figured out what the problem is yet, that is the 3 parts of this tire, and it's happening on this side. You can see it's falling off the rim. That one's splitting. Okay, well obviously the tires falling apart isn't a great thing. The trailer we did get about a year ago from Northern Tool. I felt like it was definitely worth the money invested. Y'all can search utility trailers at Northern Tool and probably find the picture of the one that I'm dealing with. I feel like it's still a good trailer, even though the tires are definitely a problem. I think one of the bigger problems is that the company that makes it doesn't provide any kind of way to order replacements. It's a very unique tire size. I tried to go to a tire shop and get them to help me find one. Came up empty. When we took to the internet to try and search one out, the only thing that was coming up after searching the tire size, which actually I'll go ahead and, it's an 18x4-10. So I don't know anything that much about tires, but when I was searching for that particular tire size to try and find a replacement, the only thing that was coming up on the Google search was the trailer itself. So that kind of basically tells me that there aren't any other tires for sale of that size. So what are we gonna do? I've got this trailer. I feel like it's a good trailer. We definitely need it to be able to more efficiently, I should say. I mean, we could use pickup trucks or some other means of distributing the feed across the different parts of the farm, but the best way is definitely to use that trailer hooked up to the four-wheeler. So how are we going to get that back up and running? I was actually able to find a different tire size and rim at Tractor Supply that I think will work, but that is where the problem solving that I mentioned earlier is going to come in. There's definitely some problems that have arisen, and we're just gonna have to think outside the box to figure out how to get this to work. All right, well, here's the problem I was talking about. As you can see, there's 4 wheels on this side and there's 4 wheels that go on this side. You know, it's kind of hard to see, I guess, because this is all falling apart and stuff. But essentially, these double stack onto this, I don't know if it's an axle or what you would call it. This is such a weird configuration I've never seen before outside of this trailer. But essentially, they double stack onto this, and then you've got a nut that screws on, and then it locks on with little pin. All right, the double stack tire thing is weird, but it's also not required. So one of the things I did read online was that Ohio Steel, which is another trailer making company, they actually like this trailer so much that they copied it and produced their own almost identical version. In their version, they have the same kind of like swinging axle thing, only they put one really thick tire that's more common on each section, so it only has 4 tires. So the more I dug into that forum, I found out that those tires actually will fit on this trailer because it literally is an identical trailer. However, they're back ordered, and after contacting the company, they can't give me a date on when they're going to have more. So that doesn't fix our problem. And now at the end of this last week, when the tires literally have fallen apart and I can't put it off anymore, I've got to find a different solution. I can't wait for those tires to come back into stock. So I started digging and couldn't find anything online anywhere at all. So what I decided to do was to find a different size tire and most likely have to use a replacement rim, but I needed it to make sure that it was obviously going to fit on this little spindle thing that we have here. So that's where our second problem comes in. Most of the tires, like at your Tractor Supply and your other different hardware stores that carry small, let's say lawnmower tires or other dolly tires is another option. The opening for the essentially mounting pin is usually 3/4 inch or less. This is an inch. When I was at the tire shop looking for a replacement tire, we took some measurements, and he's like, man, the biggest issue I'm going to run into is he could find other tires that have a single point of contact and bolt on, but none of them have a 1-inch opening. They all had 3/4 inch or smaller. So I was like, man, now I can't even replace the rims and tires because the metal spindle thing to hold them on is too big. All that was fairly discouraging, but I was determined to find a solution. Once I kind of get into trying to fix a problem, I have a tendency to just stick with it until it's solved. There has been times whenever I have just had to give up because there just was nothing I could do, but this was not that time. So what I did is I took this old tire right here and I took it up to Tractor Supply and started looking through what they had available. Now in their trailer tire section, there was nothing that actually could fit the 1-inch spindle that I needed. So I was actually on my way out leaving, and I was checking out with a couple other small things that I had grabbed, and I looked over to my right, and on the aisle where they sell their dollies, I saw some more tires. And honestly, I could just tell that one of them had a wider opening and might work. It was also a very similar size, and that is what I got. So this is a, let's see, a 16 by 5-8. All right, so it's a different tire. It's a little bit thicker, and it's a little bit lower profile, so it's not as tall. But I did test it, and it does slide on there. However, because of the thickness of the tire, it cannot be doubled up on each side. So I can only put one tire on each side. I don't think that that's actually going to be a problem because we don't actually load it up with that much weight. I don't think we'll have any functional issues by reducing the amount of tires that each side has to one. Like I said, this is a little bit wider of a tire. It actually has a higher weight capacity than the originals. I'm kind of hoping it's a little bit more sturdy and will last longer. But what we're going to have to do is figure out some way to add some spacers and some washers to be able to get this to sit on the axle properly and not slide around. I've done all the work to get the tires here. I was able to find 5 tires at the Tractor Supply, so I bought all 5 of them. I'm only going to use 4, but I wasn't sure actually if I could fit 2 on each side whenever I bought them, so I was actually going to try and find 3 more to get 8, but now that I know I can't do that many tires, I've got an extra spare in case one does go down. We've got a washer, which we're definitely going to space everything with washers. And then, okay. All right, so here's the problem. This much space is how much we've got to figure a solution out for. The reason we're going to have to is that once this trailer is on its tires like it's supposed to be, we don't want this tire being able to bounce back and forth between all that space. So we want it to be able to be secured. Now before, with the double tire right there, the washer and the nut and the pin are literally just sitting right on top of the other rim, which holds everything in place. So initial ideas are washers. I've got a bag of 1-inch washers that we could stack just a massive amount. I mean, I'm probably going to think it's probably 10, maybe 10 to 15 washers in that space, and then secure the nut on there. But I don't think I have enough to do that on all 4 of them. So the other thing I was thinking of doing was cutting a piece of like metal piping from like the greenhouse's scraps. That would be essentially just have to cut it to a custom width, and I'll probably run it on the inside of this rim to push the tire all the way out to where the nut's going to be. And then I'll sandwich that piece of metal conduit in between 2 washers so that way it won't bounce around. I'm going to try it. I don't know that that'll work. If it doesn't, the other thing I could do is go to a hardware store and get some 1.25 inch, anything bigger than a 1-inch nut. You don't want to go too big, but if the nut could pass over the threads without getting stuck, we could throw some nuts on there, which are a lot thicker, and then throw a washer on top of that, and that would also produce the same effect. Got a couple of channel locks and pliers, and this is the metal conduit. It's essentially top rail for chain link fencing. It may be a little too big, but we're going to try this first, and if it is too big, I've got a secondary idea of using maybe some 1-inch gray electrical conduit. That might work. But we're gonna try this metal first because I think it'll be a better option. If this opening is too wide and it's just bouncing around on that, I don't think that's going to work very good. So we're gonna play around and see if we can't find something that'll solve the problem. It is a little bit bigger than the spindle that we're putting the tires on, but I don't think it's too big to function the way I need it to. So now I'm going to have to make a mark on this where I need the tire to be, and then cut this the exact same size. So I'm gonna do that 4 times so I can put 4 different tires on. It's kind of hard to see my mark, but it's essentially that little line right there at 2 1/4, almost exactly. I'm gonna run the scrap metal pieces back to the tool trailer, throw them in the vise, and cut 4 of them at 2 1/4, and then we'll come back and we'll start putting this stuff on and get this trailer back going again. Okay, I've got my 4 spacers cut. I'm gonna go ahead and get this side done, and then we're gonna flip the trailer, do the other side, and we'll test it out. There's a couple other things I'll go over as I'm putting this stuff on, like sandwiching this between 2 washers, and then also I'm considering possibly throwing some grease in between it just so it doesn't overheat. Alright, that all looks pretty good. It's spinning, it's locked in. We're going to take this other one off and do that 3 more times. One thing that I am doing different is it originally came with these bendable pins, so you slide it in and bend it. I had a hard time getting that one off, ended up having to cut it off. So I'm going to try one of these Carter pins, and it's in there pretty solid. I guess it's possible with as much bouncing that could come out, but I'm gonna try this and keep an eye on it, and if I don't see it moving at all, then we're gonna call it good. But I think that'll be easier in case I have to change these out. All right, get that right. Okay, I think that worked. Alrighty, so I've just got to put my tools up, and I'm going to go grab the 4-wheeler, go ahead and hook up and pull it around, just give it a little test run, and then I'll probably pick up these old tires and figure out how we're going to get rid of them. One thing that I did know was going to happen based off that size tire is I've got a little bit less clearance, but that I don't think will make any difference, because in using this for a year, I've never run into a situation where the trailer was bottoming out and the 4-wheeler, you know, got stuck because I didn't have enough clearance on the trailer. I mean, this mostly just runs in the fields, not even in woods or any kind of off-roading thing. It mostly just runs from the barn to the different spots where the animals get fed. So even though that changes things a little bit, and I have a feeling that my spacers are going to make it a little bit louder. We'll just see how it works. I know that this will function for now, and if it's not the way if it's too noisy, if it's just not pulling the way I want it to, I do have some of those other tires on order, the bigger ones that actually go with this exact style of trailer, and I'll switch them out whenever they come in. But this should get us functional. So let's just do a function test and then we'll sign off. I'd say that's a successful problem solved. It's actually pulling a lot quieter and smoother than it was with the tires that were on there. So I would say, yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I honestly, when those new tires ever do get off back order, with the way that this just pulled through that field, I may not change it out. sorry, I'm just smiling because I love solving problems. And when things go how I envision them going, like, you know, with the spacer and just everything kind of coming together and it being functional, it just makes me happy, gives me some joy. So thanks for hanging out with me today as I solve just one of the many problems that's going to arise on our homestead. I'm sure you guys are doing the same thing on your farms. So just, you know, think outside the box and just, you know, stay after it until you get to the solution that it'll either work for now, or in this case, it will work until those tires, you know, can't take it anymore. Thank you for hanging out with me. I bless you. Until next time.